Have you ever walked away from a conversation feeling drained, unsure why? Not because they yelled or insulted you. In fact, they were gentle, kind, even genuinely complimentary. Yet, you leave feeling empty, questioning yourself, with a vague unease stirring within. That's not your imagination. It's a sign you've encountered someone with a dark heart, cleverly masked by kindness, care, and warmth. These people don't always reveal their true nature. They don't slam doors, shout, or openly offend. Their words are carefully chosen. They say exactly what you want to hear, then subtly infiltrate your emotions, dragging you down, making you doubt your worth. It might be a colleague who praises you while quietly sabotaging your opportunities, or a loved one who claims to care but controls and depletes you daily. In today's video, we won't dwell on evil in a dramatic or fearful way. We'll examine it calmly and clearly through 5 types of people with hidden malicious intent, not to condemn, not to grow cold, but to understand, and more importantly, to learn how to shield yourself, preserving your inner peace like a true Stoic calm, composed and unshakable. The first is the manipulator disguised as a friend. You'll never hear them raise their voice. They don't pressure you overtly or insult you directly. They approach with kindness, sweet words, and a nod of goodwill. But if you're sharp, you'll notice that after each encounter, you feel smaller, less confident, and more uncertain than before. This is the manipulator hiding as your ally. They don't control you with force. They control you by creating the illusion that you need their validation to feel worthy. Their advice sounds sincere. I think you're truly talented. But sometimes you rush things a bit. Maybe it's a lack of experience. Their words seem kind. But after the talk, you feel inadequate. What makes them dangerous is you don't realize you're being manipulated. They position themselves as your helper, your confidant, the one who cares most. Yet beneath the surface, they plant seeds of self-doubt, just enough to make you adjust yourself to suit their convenience. I once knew someone like this. He'd praise me in meetings, saying I had leadership potential. But in private talks with the boss, he'd casually mention I seemed unstable or needed more oversight for consistency. At first, I didn't suspect a thing. I thought his feedback was honest. It wasn't until I was passed over for major projects that I realized he wasn't helping me grow. He wanted to keep me beneath him. He wanted me to believe I needed him. In truth, the opposite was true. Stoicism teaches us to stay sharp, not angry. Marcus Aurelius never said to rage against such people. He urged us to observe them as an outsider and treat their actions as a chance to sharpen our clarity and calm. Epictetus wrote, "You can't control what others say about you, but you can decide what enters your mind." That's the core lesson. Manipulators don't defeat you with actions. They use words, hints, and subtle influence to chip away at your self-belief. But if you stay clear-headed and anchored in your own worth, their words are just wind passing by your door. If someone in your life makes you doubt yourself more after every meeting, be cautious. They may not hate you, but they certainly don't want you to outshine them. As a Stoic, your goal isn't to cut them off rashly, but to maintain an inner distance, never letting anyone but yourself define your value. Next, the false lover. These pretenders don't show up with overt negativity. They don't harm you directly. In fact, they make you feel like they're your greatest ally. They listen, agree, and cheer you on. But notice this, they're only there when you're at your weakest, when you stand tall again, when your strength returns. They fade away, or, worse, turn sarcastic. These are the ones who love only the fragile version of you. They thrive on your emotional dependence, but never truly celebrate your growth. At first, they seem like your safe haven, understanding you like no one else. But as soon as you start to evolve, even in positive ways, they begin to pull back. You'll hear them say, "Wow, you've changed so much. Not like the old you." As if growing stronger is something to be ashamed of. As if not needing them is a betrayal. They tease in ways that hit your deepest insecurities, the ones you've shared in vulnerability. Comments like, "Looking sharp today," "trying to hold back time." They call it joking. But you know better. It's not love. It's something else. Not closeness, but mockery veiled in a smile. I had a friend like this once. She was there when I was low, comforting, checking in, always available. But when I found my path, started caring for myself, and learned to say no, she began to withdraw. Then came the messages, "You've changed so much." Probably too busy with new friends, forgetting the old ones. I wasn't colder. I simply stopped feeding her emotional reliance on me. Stoicism doesn't tell you to cut people off with loud declarations. Seneca said it best. Don't despise those who lack sincerity. See them as a test of your clarity and inner strength. If you want a mirror to reflect true kindness, watch how people treat you when you no longer depend on them. A real friend lifts you up and embraces your growth. The pretender only values you when you're weak, because that's when they hold emotional leverage. Stoicism reminds us that true bonds don't make you feel small, don't spark self-doubt, and certainly don't guilt you for growing. If someone keeps reminding you of your old self but never acknowledges who you're becoming, they're not cheering for you. They want to keep you where they feel secure. Remember this, you owe no one your stagnation. If someone only loves you when you're weak, that's not friendship, it's dependency dressed in affection. As a Stoic, you don't need to make a scene. Stay silent, move forward, and grow stronger each day. The third type, the controller. Some don't shout their need to dominate you. They don't command, threaten, or use force. Instead, they wield something far subtler, your emotions, because they speak in the name of love. It's easy to mistake their control for care. These controllers are often close spouses, family, or longtime friends. They don't outright forbid you. They suggest. They don't demand. They express concern. They say things like, "I'm just not comfortable with you hanging out with that person." Or, "You shouldn't dress like that at your age. People will talk." Or, "Working so far from home, aren't you worried someone might take advantage?" It sounds reasonable, like protection. But look closely, they're shrinking your world bit by bit. Every decision becomes an emotional negotiation. They don't want your independence. They want your reliance to feel secure. The worst part, they make you feel guilty for choosing yourself. You want time alone. They act hurt. You reconnect with old friends. They grow distant. You say no to their requests. They quietly withdraw, later saying they're disappointed. They don't bind you with chains, but with guilt. I heard of a woman, married 20 years. Her husband never yelled or used force. Yet, over time, She lost her friends, abandoned her hobbies, and stopped doing anything alone. She said, "He only wanted the best for me, but I felt like I was living in a glass cage." That's the prison of overprotection, as Stoics would call it. Marcus Aurelius wrote that freedom isn't just breaking physical chains, it's refusing to let your mind be swayed by others' emotions. When you adjust your actions to soothe someone else's feelings, you're living their life, not yours. If you need permission to be yourself, pause and ask, am I living for their peace or my growth? True love doesn't demand your constant presence. It wants you strong, free, and choosing to return, not bound by emotional ties. Stoicism doesn't preach rebellion, but teaches you to draw a clear line between care and control, connection and captivity. You can stay in the relationship without letting it define you. You can love without losing yourself. As Epictetus said, if something costs your inner peace, no matter its name, it's not worth it. The fourth type, the saboteur. Not everyone attacks you with harsh words or obvious actions. Some choose a quieter path. They don't openly oppose you, but they never truly support you either. They don't block your success, but they don't cheer your victories with genuine joy. They're always there, yet often the first to make you doubt yourself. These are often longtime friends, close colleagues, or family. They don't do anything blatantly wrong, at least on the surface. But if you pay attention, you'll see it whenever you're excited about something. They're the first to mention risks, failures, or reasons it might not work. You say, "I'm planning to start a small business." They reply, "The economy's tough. Most startups fail fast. Think carefully before you leap." You mention learning a new skill, and they say, "At our age, what's the point? Just relax." They don't stop you outright, but they plant subtle doubts. The hardest part is their skepticism hides under the guise of care. They say it's because they're worried for you. They call it honesty, but that honesty doesn't empower you. It makes you hesitate, question yourself, and sometimes turn back. I knew someone like this. Every time I was ready to try something new, he'd offer advice not harsh, not loud, just sensible concerns. "I'm just looking out for you. That path's full of stress. You're doing fine already. Why make things harder?" At first, I valued it, but over time, I saw he only showed up when I was about to grow. Each time, I left our talks feeling hazier, more doubtful. This quiet sabotage is dangerous because it feels like friendship, sounds like care, and seems like support. That's why it's so hard to spot. But if sharing your dreams with someone leaves you feeling smaller, less excited, and less confident, that's not care. It's emotional control disguised as realism, a slow erosion of your spirit under the pretext of honesty. Marcus Aurelius said, "A wise man doesn't need others' approval to do what's right. He only needs to ensure he's true to his own nature." That's a profound Stoic truth. Don't let others dictate what's right for you, especially those who sow doubt while pretending it's love. If someone always highlights what could go wrong, making you hesitate more than act, and never truly stands with you in your growth, step back, not because they're evil, but because they may not be ready to see you shine, and that unease, conscious or not, drives them to keep you small. Stoicism doesn't teach you to mistrust everyone or cut ties coldly, but it does teach this: A clear mind is your strongest shield. Keep your mind pristine, like a mirror, so you can see who lifts you up and who holds you back. Once you see clearly, you don't need to argue, prove, or explain. You just keep moving forward with your strength while they stay behind. The fifth type, the energy drainer. Not everyone hurts you with harsh words or clear actions. Some exhaust you just by being around. They don't insult, criticize, or control you. But every moment with them leaves you tired, heavy, even guilty for feeling that way. Energy drainers live in constant negativity. They always have a complaint, a pain to share, an injustice they've faced. They don't attack you directly, but they pull you into an emotional abyss. You don't notice until you're sinking. At first, you think you're just being a good listener. You empathize. You show up. But over time, you dread seeing their name on your phone. You avoid meeting them. After every talk, you sit in silence, feeling like you've weathered a storm. They say, "You're the only one I can talk to." You feel guilty. So you stay. They say, "Nothing ever goes right for me. No one truly cares." You try to comfort them, but they reply. It's easy for you to say, "You don't get it." In the end, you realize they're not seeking solutions. They don't want to heal. Their pain is their identity, and playing the victim is how they feel seen. They don't want a lifeline, they want an audience. And sadly, that audience is you. Stoicism doesn't make you cold, but it offers a vital truth. You can't fill someone else's cup when yours is empty. Epictetus said, "A loving soul doesn't carry every burden, but chooses what to bear and what to release." You're allowed to stop listening to the same story repeated for years, not from a lack of compassion, but from valuing your mental strength. I had a friend like this once. I gave time, energy, support. I listened, advised, tried everything. But nothing I said made a difference. It wasn't about growth. They just needed me to validate their pain, to affirm their victimhood. One day, I stepped back, not with a fight or a cut-off, just a quiet retreat to protect my mind. It wasn't selfish, it was clarity. If I'm completely drained, my presence isn't a gift. It's just another empty gesture. Understand this. You weren't born to carry the world's weight. You don't have to be everyone's savior. Love doesn't demand endless sacrifice. And kindness doesn't mean ignoring your boundaries. If someone leaves you exhausted, pause and ask, am I helping them? Or am I chained to their pain? If the answer stings, that's your signal. It's time to step back, reclaim your energy, and set a new boundary. Because, as Stoicism reminds us, to bring light to others, your own flame must burn brightly first. Now that you see these types, the subtle manipulator, the false lover, the controlling protector, the quiet saboteur, and the energy drainer, you might wonder, what do I do with them? Cut them off. Avoid them. Confront them. Speak up. Or stay silent. There's no one-size-fits-all answer, but there's a clear path. Respond, like a Stoic. Stoicism doesn't demand emotional rigidity or coldness. It teaches purposeful response, not getting swept into others' emotional games, not letting their negativity reshape you, and above all, not letting their poison steal your inner peace. With manipulators, stay vigilant. Watch their words like an outsider viewing a film, not trapped in their web of subtle hints. Ask yourself, Am I acting from my own values or their quiet influence with false lovers? Don't waste energy explaining or fixing the bond. You don't need to prove you haven't changed or still care. Those who are genuine will rejoice in your growth. Those who aren't will guilt you for moving forward. You don't owe an apology for becoming stronger. Just keep walking the path true to your core. With controllers, stay calm and firm. Don't react with anger. Say gently, I value your concern, but this is my choice, and I'll own the outcome. A Stoic doesn't need approval to do what's right, just clarity within himself. With saboteurs, keep your distance quietly. Stop sharing your deepest aspirations with them, and they'll fade away naturally. You don't need applause from those waiting for your failure. Focus on your own path, because that's what you truly control. With energy drainers, remember, kindness doesn't mean exhaustion. You can still care. But set limite. Say, I need space today. I'll listen when I'm ready. That's not selfishness, it's self-regulation. The bedrock of Stoic practice. Marcus Aurelius wrote, if someone angers you, ask yourself, have I given them power over my mind? This is a reminder every Stoic must hold close. When your peace is disturbed by anger, pain, or frustration, pause and ask, did I choose this reaction, or am I being pulled by it? The highest freedom in Stoicism isn't removing toxic people, they'll always exist, but mastering how you respond to them. You can walk away from a provoking conversation without losing your calm. You can choose not to retaliate, explain, or defend, and still know you've done right. Because, in the end, toxic people only win when they make you lose yourself. A Stoic never lets that happen. If you're starting to recognize these patterns around you, don't fear. You don't need to change them, just how you react to them. See them as challenges, lessons to sharpen your growth and self-mastery. Every time you hold your boundaries, choose silence over reaction, or walk away in peace. You're closer to inner freedom. You don't need to defeat them, just ensure they don't pull you down. When you choose peace over reaction, progress over validation, you've won in the calmest, strongest way. Thank you for watching to the end. If this resonated, like, subscribe, and share it with someone who needs to hear it. Join me in the next Stoic lesson, where you'll be reminded that peace isn't out there. It starts with how you perceive and respond to the world.